Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next hour, Prime Minister Modi says today's self-reliant India is unstoppable. Says country continues to momentum of economic growth amid global uncertainties. Tejas Mark 1A indigenous fighter jet makes maiden flight, boosts self-reliance and the Make in India initiative. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce sues Trump government over $100,000 H-1B visa fee. And Madagascar school leader is sworn in as president after youth-led protests oust civilian head of state. Prime Minister Narendra Modi attended the NDTV World Summit 2025 at the Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi on Friday. He spoke about India's economic achievements and how the reforms are driven by conviction. Take a listen.
पिछले साल के मुकाबले भारत का मर्चेंडाइज एक्सपोर्ट करीब 7% और बढ़ गया है। पिछले वर्ष भारत ने करीब 4.5 लाख करोड़ रुपए का एग्रीकल्चर एक्सपोर्ट कर दिया है। कितने ही देशों की अस्थिर रेटिंग्स के बीच S&P ने 17 साल के बाद आफ्टर 17 इयर्स भारत की क्रेडिट रेटिंग को अपग्रेड किया है। भारत में एक समय रिफॉर्म हुआ था, एक इकोसिस्टम उसके गीत बहुत गाता रहता है, लेकिन वो कंपल्सन के कारण था और वो भी कंपल्सन IMF का था। आज रिफॉर्म हो रहा है कन्विक्शन के कारण, और वही IMF कह रहा है कि रिफॉर्म का भारत का जो बोल्डनेस है उसको नोटिस कर रहे हैं।
And joining us is Professor Anshu Joshi. Professor Joshi is with the School of International Studies at Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. Professor Joshi, welcome to DD India News. Now, first up, Professor, what did you make of the Prime Minister's address? Give us an overview, and before we delve into the specifics of his speech.
Indeed, Ramesh, this entire address was really good, remarkable, impeccable to watch, wherein our Honorable Prime Minister not only listed different achievements of the Indian government in past 10 years, he also emphasized on the economic growth, wherein India is called unstoppable at the global level, and he also spoke about different other accomplishments in the areas of digitalization, in the area of defense and security, in the area of sustainable development, startups, innovation, space technology, and whatnot. So I really feel proud to be an Indian, and India is actually unstoppable at the moment, Ramesh. If we see, it is the fastest growing economy of the world, being the fourth largest economy of the world. IMF predicts India in a very bright spot at the moment, and with an annual growth rate, stable growth rate, I would say, of 6.6%. We have registered a remarkable growth of 7.8% in first trimester, and then we have a forex reserves of 700 billion USD. So our Prime Minister not only in his address mentioned all these points, he also spoke about the success of our foreign policy, and here I would like to state that there is a momentum that India is maintaining in terms of its collaboration bilaterally as well as multilaterally, and we should also note that there are different dignitaries from different nations who have been visiting India, and this momentum is very much on. Today, the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka, Harini Amara Surya, is in India. Prior to that, the Canadian Foreign Minister Anita Anand was in India. Then Mongolian President was in India. The European Union's delegation was in India. UK's FM was in India. Afghanistan's Foreign Minister was in India. German FM was in India. Singaporean PM was in India. And it's like there's a long list. There are many more such dignitaries who have come to India in past couple of days, and they have expressed their belief, their trust, and their support for India. The only thing is that we shouldn't be looking at our foreign policy from United States of America, or for that matter, Trump's prism, and we should also look at the other accomplishments that we have achieved in the area of democratization, people's partnership into different programs, digitalization, contributing to the goals related to climate change containment and sustainable development, and last but not the least, the fight against terror. And apart from like what we have been doing in terms of our foreign policy, internally also our Prime Minister explicitly mentioned that how a state like Chhattisgarh, it is really good to see that it has become free of the Naxal terror. And today Bastar is organizing Olympics for the people of Chhattisgarh. So it's like all in all, I would say that it was really nice and remarkable address from our Honorable Prime Minister.
Indeed. Thank you for giving us an overview, Professor Joshi, on the Prime Minister's address there at the NDTV World Summit. As you mentioned, he spoke about, touched upon domestic and foreign issues alike. We'll come to foreign policy in just a bit, but talking about India's economic growth journey over the last 11 years in particular, I want to highlight what the Prime Minister said there. He said that India has proven the skeptics and naysayers wrong by achieving or keeping inflation below 2% and keeping economic growth well above 7%. He spoke about how policy paralysis is a thing of the past and how reforms are driven by this government on the basis of conviction, not compulsion. Your thoughts on the PM's remarks, especially about how India is shaping, he says, global growth, number one, and number two, India is emerging as a nerve center of global supply chain. Professor.
Indeed, Ramesh, when we see the journey of past 10 years, between 2014 and 2024, India's GDP is more than doubled in the terms of dollar, going from like 2 point something trillion USD to over 4.2 trillion today. And we are ranked as the world's fourth largest economy at present. And there are different reports, like the reports from Moody's, or for that matter from EY, or for that matter from IMF, that suggests that India would continue with this remarkable economic growth in next couple of years, also to become the third largest economy of the world. And having said that, we also should not forget, wherein our Prime Minister stated that how our inflation rates are less than 2%. I would also like to bring another fact into the account, as in the latest report from this World Economic Forum has suggested, has mentioned that how among all the G20 nations, India has the lowest rates of unemployment at present. And that is another impeccable accomplishment of India. When it comes to supply chain, Ramesh, we have seen that in past few years, how after COVID-19, the entire international affairs have seen a turmoil in terms of the supply chains, and at present also we see a flux in global politics in international affairs, due to which there are disruptions in the supply chains. But because of the kind of contribution India has given or invested in terms of infrastructural development, both bilaterally as well as multilaterally, India has indeed become a nerve center of the supply chains globally.
Talking about foreign policy now, Professor Joshi, he's touched upon a number of facets to India's foreign policy priorities in particular. Talk to us a bit, if you will, about his view or his vision of India's place in a changing world, foreign policy objectives and priorities, especially when he says, when he spoke about the age of the unknown, he says age of the unknown invokes fear in some people's minds. But if you ask him, he says, age of the unknown can also mean a gateway for opportunities, and India has shown it time and again over the last 11 years.
Indeed, that I have found as an expert of international relations and foreign policy in his actions in all these years, wherein he always looks at the age of unknown as in a gateway or a window of opportunity. And having said that, India has indeed opened a whole new dimension of a place for like global south in global politics. At present, we can see that how there are two full-fledged wars that are on in two different parts of the world. Apart from that, we also see that how China keeps asserting its power in Indo-Pacific region, and it is also significant to keep Indian Ocean region free of any kind of influences. So India here practices the policy of strategic autonomy, wherein it respects no intrusion in terms of taking its own decisions from any other second or third party. And when it comes to the decisions of other nations, India never goes and intrudes into the internal affairs of any other nation. But here, India also, without mincing its words, keeps stating that it won't tolerate terrorism at any cost of any level. So I would give you an example that recently, with kind of a realignment picture, we could see that the foreign minister from Taliban regime from Afghanistan visited India, and he not only very clearly mentioned his and his government's support for India's fight in against terrorism. When India faced the brutal Pahalgam attack, Muttaqi, the foreign minister of Afghanistan, at that point in time also condemned this attack and shown their support for India. So India at present is focusing on achieving its national interests and different other strategic objectives of long term with a philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, wherein time and again our Prime Minister has stated that we do not believe in the age or era or the times of competition. Instead of this, India believes in collaboration, and that is what India has shown by collaborating bilaterally as well as multilaterally with different nations and organizations, for example, as in G20, to contribute to different sustainable development goals, Ramesh.
Indeed. Talking about another dimension of his speech, Professor Joshi, where he touched upon domestic issues in particular, he spoke about how this government in particular in the last 11 years has democratized policy and process. He spoke about his pet theme of minimum government, maximum governance. In that context, he spoke about how this government in particular has turned risk into reform, reform into resilience, and resilience into revolution. He spoke about the change in thought and approach, which has only gone to help people in terms of better performance and delivery, be it social welfare measures for the women, for the underprivileged, and so on. So doesn't that give you a sense of where this government is coming from and where it intends to take India in the days ahead?
Yes, Ramesh, that's a very good question. And this we have seen in past all these years when we have seen our Prime Minister working in the area of contributing not only towards the goals set by United Nations, as in the Sustainable Development Goals ranging from food security to energy security to women empowerment to like providing leadership roles to women and so on. What he has done is like he has brought all these international goals to the national level, wherein all these goals were incorporated in our different national schemes. For example, this Ujjwala Yojana, or for that matter, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, and all these schemes ensured democratization of the government's policies and also ensured people's participation into all these programs, by which at the end of the day, he ensured two things. First, providing all the benefits of all these schemes to the person sitting at the fag end of the society, and second, by like contributing nationally as a nation to like the particular international goal. So that's where we have seen a big change in Indian governance, wherein very swiftly and seamlessly we can see there is a transparency because of the adaptation of latest technologies. Also there is democratization of all these policies and policy planning, execution, etc. And we also see public's participation. I'll give you an example. When we hosted G20, who could have imagined that every person of India would know about G20 and the all the meetings of like different working groups of G20, and with like delegates from different nations across the globe would be held in tier 2, tier 3 cities of India. That's what we did at that point in time. And that is what was welcomed and taken with a very positive note by different nations. So it also boosted people to people connects diplomatically among the nations. So that's where I do see a lot of reforms and accomplishments from the Indian government side.
And finally, Professor, talking about accomplishments in particular, the PM spoke at some length on how his government succeeded in eliminating or combating left-wing extremism. In fact, he called it or labeled it left-wing terrorism. He spoke about the victims of left-wing extremism in the country, how a particular ecosystem was supportive of their crimes against innocent people in parts of India where the state was virtually absent. And he went on to say that India will soon be completely rid of left-wing terrorism. And that, he says, is Modi's a guarantee, a buzzword, a catchphrase, as it were, of the PM's election campaign last year. What do you make of India's and the government's success in tackling or combating left-wing terrorism in particular, Professor?
Ramesh, this was a major challenge when it came to our national security, as in maintaining peace and security in different parts, within different parts of India. And we could see prior to 2014 how there were states in India that struggled with this left-wing terrorism, wherein there was a whole cobweb of the funders and the trainers and the people who used to execute attacks on our own paramilitary forces, or for that matter, our army and our police forces. It was really unfortunate to see that how innocent people from different walks of the life were brainwashed, and they used to become the part of all these, organized entire agenda of Naxals. But in past 10 years, we have seen that how all these states have become free of what our Prime Minister called left-wing terrorism or Naxal terrorism. And he explicitly gave the example of Chhattisgarh, wherein different events have been organized. And he also expressed a hope and his trust that Diwali would be celebrated with much fervor in all these states now. And that is where he stated that it is like Modi's guarantee. And definitely we have seen this one big achievement that can be taken to the level of our society, wherein we should go to the level of all those villages wherein all the innocent people are living a peaceful life now, Ramesh.
All right, we'll leave it there for now. Professor Joshi, thank you for joining us and sharing your thoughts with our viewers at home and abroad. Thank you for your time. Much appreciated. All right, still to come on DD India News Hour. Another 200-odd left-wing extremists surrender in Chhattisgarh. And defense experts discuss about self-reliance in critical technologies to boost air power.
Prepare for the brightest night of the year. Story of Diwali and its diversity. It's time for the Festival of Lights.
There's so many invaluable artifacts that the British have taken from our country. They robbed us of our self-respect. They robbed us of our honor. Loot was never innocent, it was painful.
The word loot, that was stolen from India too.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh on Friday inaugurated the third production line of light combat aircraft Tejas Mark 1A and the second production line of Hindustan Turbo Trainer Forte at the Nashik facility of the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. He flagged off the first Tejas Mark 1A produced at the facility. The two production lines are set to boost the arsenal of the Indian Air Force in days to come and prove to be a milestone in India's self-reliance journey in defense sector. DD India's Akshay Dongre reports from Nashik.
The Tejas Mark 1A, India's homegrown light combat aircraft, rode into the air for its first flight from Hindustan Aeronautics Limited's Nashik division. This upgraded fighter boasts advanced avionics, better weaponry and enhanced agility, a true force multiplier for the Indian Air Force. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh, who was present at the event, did not just witness history, he propelled it forward by inaugurating the third production line for Tejas Mark 1A and the second for the HTT-40 trainer aircraft. These state-of-the-art facilities at HAL Nashik are set to turbocharge production.
पिछले 6 दशकों से भी अधिक समय से HAL नासिक ने भारत की डिफेंस मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कैपेबिलिटी को नई ऊंचाइयों तक पहुंचाने में एक स्ट्रांग पिलर की भूमिका निभाई है। नासिक एक तरफ डिफेंस मैन्युफैक्चरिंग यानी निर्माण की प्रतीक है, तो दूसरी तरफ जरूरत पड़ने पर दुश्मनों का संहार करने की क्षमता भी रखती है। मैं मानता हूं कि महज केवल एक इमारत या किसी प्रोजेक्ट तक ही सीमित नहीं है, बल्कि रक्षा क्षेत्र में भारत की आत्मनिर्भरता को भी सिंबलाइज करता है, उसका प्रतीक है।
With the new Tejas line, HAL ramps up to 24 aircraft per year, tripling capacity, and its industry is paperless, sustainable, and lightning fast. For HTT-40, the indigenous trainer meets tough standards, ensuring safe and high-performance pilot training. From conception to combat readiness, Tejas Mk1A is more than a fighter jet. It's a symbol of India's confidence and capability. With these new production lines now operational, India is not just building aircraft, it's building the future of its air power with faster production, stronger partnerships, and a giant leap for Atmanirbhar Bharat or self-reliant India.
With the opening of the third production line for HAL Tejas Mark 1A as well as the second production line of HTT-40 trainer aircraft here in Nashik, the Indian Air Force has not only gotten new wings but also has gotten a big force multiplier as well. And in the upcoming years, not only we will see more timely and more frequent deliveries of these advanced fighter aircrafts as well as trainer aircrafts to the Indian Air Force, but also a realization of India's dream of self-reliance in defense sector. With camera person Monty Singh and colleague Anil Vaidya, Akshay Dongre, DD India.
Defense Minister Rajnath Singh says India's defense manufacturing has reached 65%. India is achieving remarkable milestones in defense production under the Make in India initiative. With exports reaching over 90 countries, India is growing its strength and capability in this critical area. In this report, we bring you the rising graph of the country's defense and other sectors under this initiative.
Launched by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in 2014, Make in India has revolutionized the nation into a global powerhouse of design and manufacturing. It has boosted India's manufacturing capabilities while spotlighting its industrial might on the world stage. In the defense arena, India ranks among the world's top 5 military spenders and is emerging as a premier defense manufacturing hub. Through Make in India, defense industrial corridors are igniting indigenous production of defense and aerospace-related items, reducing imports and promoting exports. At the inauguration of the third production line of the Tejas light combat aircraft Mk1A and a second manufacturing facility of trainer jet HTT-40, Defense Minister Rajnath Singh celebrated a decade of transformation under Prime Minister Modi's visionary leadership. He highlighted that India, once reliant on imports for 65 to 70% of critical military hardware, now proudly manufactures 65% on its own soil.
एक समय था जब देश में रक्षा की जरूरतों को पूरा करने के लिए अन्य देशों पर हमारा देश निर्भर था और लगभग 65 to 70% डिफेंस इक्विपमेंट इंपोर्ट किए जाते थे। लेकिन आज स्थिति बदल चुकी है। अब भारत 65% मैन्युफैक्चरिंग अपनी ही धरती पर कर रहा है।
The significant shift from import dependency to domestic manufacturing showcases India's self-reliance in defense. Over the past 11 years of implementation of Make in India, defense exports have surged from 686 crore Indian rupees in 2013-14 to 23,622 crore Indian rupees in 2024-25. Defense budget has grown from 2.53 lakh crore Indian rupees in 2013-14 to 6.81 lakh crore Indian rupees in 2025-26. Fueled by government policy reforms, ease of doing business initiatives, and a push for self-reliance, India now exports to over 100 nations. India targets 3 lakh crore Indian rupees in defense production by 2029. The program continues to drive forward with significant achievements and renewed vigor, reinforcing India's position as a major player in global manufacturing landscape. Powered by indigenously produced vaccines, India achieved COVID-19 vaccination coverage in record time. The country supplies nearly 60% of the world's vaccines. India's first indigenous semi-high-speed locomotives, Vande Bharat trains, deliver world-class coaches and an elevated passenger journey. Record-breaking defense production hit 1.5 lakh crore Indian rupees in 2024-25. The electronics sector exploded to 155 billion US dollars in FY23. Mobile manufacturing has seen a dramatic transformation, making India the second largest mobile manufacturer in the world. Merchandise exports soared to 437.06 billion US dollars in FY23-24. The textile industry powers 145 million jobs, transforming India's employment ecosystem. Make in India stands as a testament to the country's resolve to redefine its manufacturing destiny and elevate its global eminence. Bureau Report, DD India.
In a major boost to self-reliance in defense technology, India's Defense Research and Development Organization has achieved a key milestone in developing the light tank by successfully demonstrating the anti-tank guided missile, the NAG Mark II firing capability. The tank has been designed and developed by the DRDO and manufactured by Larsen and Toubro. The test met all performance objectives, including range, maneuverability for top attack mode, and pinpoint accuracy. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh congratulated Team DRDO on the successful demonstration, calling it a significant step towards self-reliance in critical defense systems. India is heavily focused on indigenous development of critical technologies for air power under the Self-Reliant India initiative. This is primarily centered around next-generation combat aircraft, their core systems and advanced weaponry. DD India's Vishal Baristo reports on a conference held in New Delhi that was attended by defense experts.
In his address, Defense Secretary Rajesh Kumar Singh underlined the need for getting DPSUs and the private sector together.
In India, we should be thinking about bringing our DPSUs and private firms together into one dual-use pipeline, mandate various subsidiary level companies, including perhaps a restructured HAL with clear-cut targets, delivery-linked pays, and while insisting on hard targets to cut costs, speed up production, and spin off civilian use technologies.
Highlighting the decisive role of the Indian Air Force in Operation Sindoor, the Vice Chief of the Indian Air Force stressed on the role of air power in the current uncertain geopolitical situation on the globe.
Air power no more plays a supportive role. It is actually shaping outcomes. And therefore, the centrality and the criticality of aviation technologies is very, very apt, because that is the future, and that is where nations will look at when it comes to having strategic independence.
A book, Asian Defense Review 2025, Geopolitical Shifts and Strategic Partnership, Multilateralism in the Indo-Pacific, was also released on this occasion. Vishal Baristo's report for DD India.
In a major breakthrough in the country's fight against Naxalism, 208 Naxals laid down their arms today in Chhattisgarh, returning 153 weapons as part of the government's ongoing surrender and rehabilitation drive. With this development, most of the Abujmad region and North Bastar are expected to be cleared of Naxal terror, leaving only South Bastar as the remaining hotspot. The surrendered weapons included 19 AK-47 rifles, 17 SLR rifles, 36 303 rifles, among several other firearms. The group of surrenderies comprises 110 women and 98 men from the banned outfit. India's permanent representative to the Conference on Disarmament, Ambassador Anupam Ray, addressed the general debate at the first committee of the 80th session of the UN General Assembly in New York City. The diplomat reaffirmed India's commitment to its strict no first use nuclear doctrine and said that any nuclear escalation would originate from Pakistan. Take a listen.
India has a no first use doctrine. India will not use nuclear weapons first. If there is any nuclear escalation, it will be by Pakistan. My distinguished colleague has omitted to mention that India has a nuclear-armed neighbor that is the epicenter of global terrorism. India will firmly face up to threats, including state-sponsored cross-border terrorism under a nuclear overhang. My distinguished colleague has also not mentioned that Pakistan has sought bailouts from the International Monetary Fund 24 times. Pakistan is using your money, our money, to export terrorism and instability.
Day 2 of the G20 Environment and Climate Sustainability Ministerial meeting was wrapped up in Cape Town, with world leaders agreeing on key environmental priorities under what's being called the Cape Town Declaration. India was a strong voice throughout, with Environment Minister Bhupendra Yadav actively engaging in bilateral discussions to strengthen cooperation on climate, biodiversity and circular economy initiatives. Nazneen Ismail has more.
Cape Town, it's been a full day of negotiations, side meetings and final drafting sessions as ministers work to close the meeting on common ground. Delegates spent much of the day refining the Cape Town Declaration, focusing on climate finance, biodiversity, waste management and nature-based solutions. India's Environment Minister Bhupendra Yadav was also busy on the sidelines. With Dr. Dion George of South Africa, he discussed wildlife conservation cooperation, including India's cheetah relocation program in Kuno, Madhya Pradesh, and congratulated South Africa on hosting the G20 meetings. With European Commissioner Jessica Roswell, he focused on solid waste management and wastewater technology, sharing India's experience with the extended producer responsibility regime. With Netherlands Minister Thierry Aartsen, he explored updating the 1988 India-Netherlands MOU, broadening future cooperation in biodiversity, climate finance, circular economy and technology transfer, highlighting India's circular economy action plans for 10 priority waste categories.
Today's the chair summary come from the G20. It's India's stand very much appreciated here regarding the climate change and solution of the part of this India. And I think this chair declaration and discussion in this G20 summary, where they already accepted the blue economy and ocean declaration of India's G20 at Chennai. I hope that this present G20 summary will become a future way toward the solution of climate change problem.
For DD India, Cape Town, South Africa, I'm Nazneen, reminding you that the biggest global change is a greener choice at home.
Meanwhile, diplomatic efforts to end the Ukraine-Russia conflict are gaining momentum, with President Trump meeting Ukraine's President Zelensky in Washington, D.C. Trump prepares for a high-stakes summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Budapest, aimed at peace. More in the next report.
Efforts to end the Ukraine-Russia war intensify. U.S. President Donald Trump met Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in Washington on Friday. Zelensky is seeking U.S.-made Tomahawk missiles to strengthen Ukraine's defenses. The meeting comes just after Trump announced plans for a summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Budapest, aimed at brokering a peace deal. The Kremlin said it is preparing for the Budapest summit, following what it described as a frank and trustful call between Trump and Putin. However, Putin warned that supplying Ukraine with Tomahawks would not alter the battlefield and could jeopardize peace efforts.
For now, of course, it is not clear. What we do have is the willingness of the presidents to hold such a meeting. But first, the matter will be taken up by Foreign Minister Lavrov and Secretary of State Rubio. They will first hold a call and meet to begin discussing the topic and all related issues.
But hopes for military aid were dealt a blow. Trump expressed doubts about supplying Tomahawk missiles, citing concerns over depleting US stockpiles. European Commission has welcomed the proposed Trump-Putin meeting, saying it could be a positive step toward ending the conflict.
From the European Commission point of view and from President von der Leyen's point of view, first to repeat that any meeting that moves forward the process of achieving a just and lasting peace for Ukraine is welcome.
Meanwhile, fighting continues. Russia claimed on Friday to have captured 3 villages in Ukraine's Dnipropetrovsk and Kharkiv regions, areas previously reclaimed by Kyiv during a 2022 counteroffensive. All eyes are now on Trump's mediation efforts. Friday's Trump-Zelensky meeting is seen as a prelude to separate talks with both leaders in Hungary, talks that could shape the next chapter of this war. Raminter Chauhan's report for DD India.
The U.S. Chamber of Commerce has filed a lawsuit challenging the Trump government's new $100,000 H-1B visa fee, calling it unlawful and a threat to American businesses' access to top global talent. In a lawsuit filed on Thursday in Washington, D.C., the chamber asked the court to declare that President Trump exceeded the executive branch's authority by imposing the fee and block U.S. government agencies from enforcing it. The lawsuit marks the chamber's first legal action against the Trump government since it took office. And here's why the chamber calls the move illegal and what it could mean for businesses and workers alike.
The U.S. Chamber of Commerce has launched a legal battle against the Trump administration over a staggering $100,000 annual H-1B visa fee, calling it unlawful and potentially devastating for American businesses. The fee, a massive jump from the previous $215 registration cost, applies to both new and renewal petitions, sparking widespread concern across industries that rely on skilled foreign talent. At the heart of the dispute is the Immigration and Nationality Act, or INA, the cornerstone of U.S. immigration policy since 1952. It regulates visas, citizenship, and naturalization. The chamber calls the new fee unlawful, saying it breaks the INA by turning a routine application charge into a financial barrier. It accuses the administration of executive overreach, claiming the White House acted without congressional approval. The lawsuit also argues the change bypassed public consultation, violating fair process rules under federal law, and will make it nearly impossible for small and mid-sized firms to hire global talent. The chamber's legal argument is clear. Under the Constitution, Congress, not the President, sets visa rules and fees. By using a national security clause to impose the new charge, the administration ignored the separation of powers. Businesses that typically pay a few $1,000s per visa are now facing a $100,000 bill, a sudden move that the chamber says violates the Administrative Procedure Act by skipping transparency and review. The H-1B visa program has long been a critical pathway for highly skilled professionals in technology, engineering, healthcare, and research. It enables US companies from startups to global giants to hire top talent from around the world. The chamber warns that the fallout could be devastating. The fee could push American companies from Silicon Valley to small-town startups to move jobs overseas or scale back innovation altogether. That would hand global rivals like Canada and the UK an edge in attracting top engineers and scientists. For now, the fee remains in effect through September 2026, unless blocked by the courts. As the lawsuit unfolds, the country faces a pivotal question. Will America continue to attract the world's best and brightest, or will a costly barrier limit opportunity for businesses and workers alike? Bureau Report, DD India.
A row over the return of bodies of hostages held by Hamas in Gaza retains the potential to upend the truce, along with other major planks of the plan yet to be resolved, including disarmament of militants and Gaza's future governance. Israel said it was preparing for the reopening of Gaza's Rafah crossing with Egypt to let Palestinians in and out, but said no date as it traded blame with Hamas over violations of the U.S.-mediated ceasefire.
Israel says it remains committed to the deal but is demanding that Hamas returns the bodies of 19 Israeli hostages still unaccounted for. So far, Hamas has handed over 10 bodies, but Israeli officials claim one of them was misidentified and not among the hostages. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reaffirmed Israel's position, saying the country will meet all its war objectives and that its enemies will face consequences.
They worked shoulder to shoulder to achieve all of the war's goals, and we will achieve all of the war's goals. Whoever raises their hand on us already knows that they will pay a very heavy price for their aggression. We are determined to complete the victory that will affect our lives for many years.
On the other side, a senior Hamas official accused Israel of violating the ceasefire, alleging that at least 24 Palestinians have been killed in shootings since Friday. He said the group has submitted a list of those incidents to international mediators. Hamas insists it remains committed to the agreement, but claims returning some of the remains is delayed as they're buried deep within tunnel networks. US President Donald Trump weighed in on the situation, suggesting the ceasefire should end if Hamas continues to kill people.
Well, I'm looking at what's happening, and that wasn't the deal that was made, and we'll see what happens. It's calmed down. It's a tough neighborhood. We know that. We have a commitment from them, and I assume they're going to honor that commitment. I hope they do. And I understand they brought back some additional bodies today. It's a rough deal when you think of it, right? Very rough. We have our hostages back completely. We were very lucky with that. But it's a tough situation. They brought back bodies today, as you probably know. But they also said they're going to behave. We're going to find out if they behave. If they behave, good. If they don't behave, we'll take care of it.
While frustration grows in Israel over the incomplete return of hostages remains, the US has played down suggestions that the delay constitutes a formal breach of the ceasefire. 7 Pakistani troops were killed in a suicide attack near the Afghan border on Friday amid a fragile ceasefire between Islamabad and Kabul that paused days of intense fighting between the former allies this month. A column of smoke seen rising in Pakistan's North Waziristan near the Afghan border as a series of gunshots rang out in the air. The Pakistani troops were killed in an attack by militants on a Pakistani military camp in North Waziristan, which also left 13 injured. While one militant rammed an explosive-laden vehicle into the boundary wall of a fort that served as a military camp, 2 others tried to get into the facility and were shot dead. And a 48-hour ceasefire between Afghanistan and Pakistan expired on Friday evening with no clear indication of what comes next. Dozens of soldiers and civilians on both sides have been killed since the clashes began nearly a week ago. In Bangladesh, the much-anticipated July National Charter was signed Friday at the South Plaza of the National Parliament building in Dhaka in what the interim administration called a historic step towards national reconciliation. Chief Advisor Muhammad Yunus signed the charter on behalf of the interim government, joined by several political leaders. The charter aims to guide democratic reforms, ensure justice for victims of state violence, and lay the groundwork for national election. The ceremony was overshadowed by violent protests and political boycott. Earlier in the day, the July fighters clashed with police near Parliament, demanding recognition and welfare measures. The National Citizen Party, which led the 2024 July movement, boycotted the event, accusing the government of hiding the charter's contents. Several left-leaning parties also called the move non-inclusive. Despite the unrest, Yunus called the signing a milestone for democracy and unity, promising to review protesters' concerns. Still to come on DD India News Hour. Vocal for local is the buzzword this Diwali. And Arsenal captain Martin Odegaard sidelined for a few weeks because of a knee injury.
Faster, smarter, better.
That's often the promise that comes with modern technology, but all of it comes at a risk.
To deal with this kind of mismatch, we have created a master plan based on population projections up to 2055.
The main reason for looking for dry areas is both an efficiency reason and an avoidance of corrosion.
We decided that this cannot go on forever. Something needs to be done. And we also were very certain that only technology option will be the best option, because human intervention has several limitations.
The big advantage is you don't have to go back to the start of the chain like mining iron ore.
Eisenerzes anfangen, sondern
you can reuse materials that have already been processed.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir Manoj Sinha arrived in Elista, the capital of Russia's Kalmykia Republic, on Friday with a high-level delegation to oversee the return of the sacred relics of Lord Buddha to India. The relics have been on display in Elista since October 11 as part of a special exhibition showcasing treasures brought from India, which were taken to Kalmykia by a delegation led by Uttar Pradesh's Deputy Chief Minister Keshav Prasad Maurya. Over the past 5 days, lakhs of devotees have visited the exhibition, with the number continuing to grow. Despite long queues, visitors have expressed deep devotion and enthusiasm for the rare opportunity to view the sacred relics. As the festival of Diwali approaches, cities and towns in India are witnessing a surge in celebrations that emphasize not just lights and festivities, but also the spirit of vocal for local. This year, consumers are choosing handcrafted, eco-friendly and locally made products, reflecting a growing awareness about supporting artisans and small businesses. DD India's Shyama Mishra has more.
From clay lamps and candles to handloom textiles and sustainable decor items, local artisans are seeing a surge in demand. Many products now incorporate natural materials and innovative designs, blending tradition with modern aesthetics. Mumbai's Kandil Gully is known for handcrafted lanterns made of sustainable materials.
हमारा मतलब आकाश कंदील बहुत बिकता है और स्वदेशी लोग ज़्यादा मांगते हैं। स्वदेशी को ही डिमांड ज़्यादा है। वो हमने वुडन का फ्रेम का बनाया है, मतलब जगदम्बा महाराज का, शिवाजी महाराज का बनाया है, छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज का फ्रेम में, और अच्छा रिस्पांस है ग्राहक का।
इस साल हमने अलग यही रखा है कि कापड़ी रखा है, वेलवेट रखा है, जिलेटिन रखा है। ये अपना कागदी तो हर साल होता ही है, तो इस साल बस कापड़ी और जिलेटिन लाया है और छोटे कंदील लाए।
3-4 महीना पहले से हम लोग कंदील बनाना स्टार्ट करते हैं। इंडियन प्रोडक्ट यूज़ करते हैं तो अपना मतलब देश का ये पैसा अपने देश में ही रहेगा, बाहर नहीं जाएगा।
This, in fact, is the perfect time to preserve India's rich craftsmanship and at the same time empower local communities and promote sustainable consumption. The emphasis on vocal for local ensures that every lantern, diya and other decorative piece purchased ensures the light of Diwali in one home brings shine and radiance of brotherhood to many others.
The Maharashtrian flavor is different for Diwali and for Ganpati. So always choose and buy Indian products because you will see thousands of variety for Akash Kandil and Diya in India.
When we purchase our own produce, we give our own artisans the encouragement as well as the local employment. And India needs that employment to grow. Our products are exceedingly competitive, and we must use this mechanism, these kind of festivals, to promote our own manufactured, Indian manufactured goods. And I think it's in the interest of nation building, and we should promote this. And for me and my family will always purchase our Indian stuff, and I believe that that is the best, and we can be as competitive as anybody else.
Diwali is the time of endless festivities, fun and family celebrations. This Diwali, as millions of homes light up, the stress on local produce is surely spreading smiles to many homes.
This Diwali carries a strong vocal for local spirit, showcasing India's craftsmanship and supporting livelihoods. The vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat is also fueled by purchasing Swadeshi, India-made products this Diwali. With camera person Aditya Kasare, this is Shama Mishra for DD India, Mumbai.
To sports news now, Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta has revealed that midfielder Martin Odegaard will be sidelined for several weeks because of an MCL injury. The Premier League leaders returned from the international break with several key players dealing with injuries and lack of form. Arsenal captain Odegaard is the club's fourth player currently out of action with a knee injury after Gabriel Jesus, Kai Havertz and Noni Madueke. Arsenal have the squad depth to cope with injuries but still need key players like Norway international Odegaard back in action. Currently, Arteta's men sit on a 1-point lead over champions Liverpool at the top of the table.
It will be weeks. No definite date for his return, but he's evolving well. Very unlucky what's happening with him and his injuries this season. But yeah, I think he will be back in a few weeks. Martin is a capital player for us. He's a very, very, very important for us. We haven't had it almost since the start of the season, like other players, unfortunately. But we are coping because we have strengthened the squad, because we have players with other qualities that they are still performing really well, and that's what we have to do. But make sure that we have him back, because we will be a better team.
India's veteran shooter Zorawar Singh Sandhu clinched the men's trap bronze at the International Shooting Sports Federation World Championship Shotgun 2025. The Indian overcame rain and shadows to nail down 31 of the first 40 targets in the 50-shot final. He finished behind former Olympic champion and now world champion Josep Glasnovic of Croatia, who won gold, and junior world champion Andres Garcia of Spain, who won silver. To tennis now, the two greats of modern tennis are set to battle again as world #1 Carlos Alcaraz will face Jannik Sinner in the summit clash of the lucrative Six Kings Slam. Alcaraz leads the head-to-head record 10-5, but this match will not count towards the official record because it's an exhibition tournament. Both mirrored each other's results in semi-finals as they defeated their opponents in straight sets 6-4, 6-2. Alcaraz overcame the US's top-ranked player Taylor Fritz, while Sinner bested Olympic champion Novak Djokovic. Sinner and Alcaraz will have a rest day on Friday and return on to Riyadh's ANB Arena on Saturday for the final. And that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can get the latest news and updates on the DD India mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS platforms. You may wish to scan the QR code that's now on the screen to download it. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. From all of us here in New Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.